Story 1. I always chose the water type because I thought Squirtle was pretty cool. Now that I have reached 1,000 upvotes, I have a confession. I have never played a Pokemon game. Story 2. I am a white man who is married to a Vietnamese woman and has dated black women and white blondes. I realized a long time ago that I am attracted to women and have always known. Story 3. My type is any woman who is interested in me. I discovered this when two women expressed interest. Story 4. I have a weakness for tall women. It is like my body wants me to father giant babies. Story 5. Nerdy, librarian, geeky girls. Velma, Gadget, and the school librarian showing me how to use the card catalog. Story 6. One woman. I met her at 12. She is my twin sister's best friend and still is. We were in love, but neither of us had the courage to say it. We went our separate ways, married, and later divorced. 30 years later, I had the courage to ask her out. Turned out we had been in love all that time. We got married last May. Story 7 Times New Roman is just a classic. Edit. I love you all. Courier is also kind of amazing. Story 8. Goth women. Damn, cartoons in the 1990s set the tone for me for the rest of my life. Story 9. Short, intense, dark-haired arty girls, inevitably bipolar. Story 10. I had many inspiring teachers in high school who were mature women with pleasant smiles and piercing eyes. Story 11. I like men with long or big hair. It was the break during class, and I saw two guys I had crushes on who never spoke. They were talking together, and I thought, oh my gosh, I love long hair. One had an afro, and the other had long curls. Story 12. It was insane and violent. I realized that after one person stole my car and planned to kill me, and another assaulted me. Story 13. I like gentle guys. Growing up in a household with high humor and low affection made me develop intense crushes on people who are kind and intentional. I even compromise on looks. Story 14. I met someone whose personality I loved, and they became more attractive to me every day. I hadn't expected to find them attractive, but I did. Story 15. I like vampires. Pale, long-haired men in black clothes. Story 16. I kept pointing out tall, skinny, awkward, dorky guys and calling them cute until my friend called me out and I realized the pattern. Story 17. He looks at his wife and points. This right here. Story 18. I believe in destiny, so my type is the girl who replies to this comment. Story 19. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I prefer women with darker skin tones. I used to be interested in redheads. That could still be true. Story 20. I like what I call the runner's body. I have always liked being around fit girls. I was a chubby boy who was sporty and surprisingly active in sports for my body type. At some point in my early 20s, I realized I was not just crushing on girls around me. I really liked that body type. Story 21. I have liked big, squishy women ever since I got my first crush in 3rd grade. Story 22. I was watching a television show when Christina Hendricks appeared on camera. I immediately thought, oh, I guess that's my thing. Story 23. I am attracted to women. Love you all. Story 24. My type is my wife. Looks come and go with age. Love, devotion, patience, and kindness are my type. Story 25. I prefer big, tall, broad men with a full head of gray or white hair. I don't know. It's a safety thing for me, and I like the stereotypical hairy man. Story 26. I like very small, profoundly weird girls who are intense and vocal about their interests such as science fiction and rock music, and ideally have pretty eyes. Most of the women often labeled the hottest leave me apathetic, but a random blue-haired weirdo in an oversized band hoodie I see in a supermarket can linger in my mind for a long time. Story 27. Since I am not generally considered attractive, willingness impresses me most. Story 28. Celiacs. Turns out 2 of my exes and my current girlfriend cannot eat gluten. Cannot explain it, but there you have it. Story 29. All but one of the women I have dated were on the shorter side, brunette with eyes to drown in, and a little extra everywhere except the chest. I guess that is my type. Story 30. I was never exclusive to any type, but if she looked like Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Story 31. I appreciate women who are kind to me. Growing up in an abusive home taught me that compassionate people are invaluable. Story 32. History says I am an artsy musician, always unemployed and living in my mom's basement. I may or may not have untreated mental illness. Story 33. Have you ever had a chunky mom bod? Enough said. Sex and ice-cold Capri Sun pouches afterward are the best. Story 34. Thick, shapely women. In other words, curvy plus-size women. Story 35. My wife. I realized it the day she expressed romantic interest in me. I laughed. Story 36. Redheads. A caveman sees a redhead and his primitive brain says he should ungabuna. Funny thing is I never had a redhead girlfriend. So hair color means nothing if you like someone. Story 37. I value people who are smart, ambitious, and creative. No matter how attractive or funny someone is, it quickly gets old if they drift through life aimlessly. I need new and interesting things to talk about regularly. I would rather date a talented artist who is not conventionally attractive than someone who relies only on their looks. Story 38. I realized I liked intelligent men when I was on a date with a very attractive man in college. He was well known on campus. I had met him in a course and was surprised when he asked me out. He was also from a well-known family with a legacy business, and they were charitable. I was excited and attracted to him. We went to dinner, and as the date continued, I began to wonder how he had finished high school. I grew bored as he talked about other dates, working out, and fraternity parties. I discovered that what I really liked were highly intelligent men who were liberal, sensitive, and a bit nerdy. In fact, many attractive men seem to have only that going for them. Story 39. Confident, kind, funny, intelligent, ambitious, generous, with attractive eyes, a warm smile, and a shapely bum. Is that too long? Story 40. Skinny, tall, and extremely flirty. I realized this after dating boring people for far too long. Story 41. I prefer women who take more initiative in a relationship. I often feel unsure about what to do and what is acceptable, so I appreciate a guiding hand rather than a controlling one. A few shared interests are also important. My last girlfriend expected me to take the initiative in everything and to be spontaneous, but that is not who I am. We had very few shared interests outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Story 42. Haley Atwell did a number on me in Captain America. In reality, if a fit woman enjoys sports, reading, and art, I'm proposing right away. Story 43. As a woman who likes sports, I keep meeting men who do not. I have been on a 10-year streak, so I suppose I will be watching football and hockey alone for the rest of my life. Story 44. Intelligent, funny, and confident, with intelligence being the most important. Life is too hard to go without a sense of humor. We must make each other laugh. On a purely physical level, thickness is magical. I knew I liked it but did not realize how much until I was with a woman who had a larger posterior than I had experienced before. She checked all of those boxes and now she is my wife. Story 45. I am attracted to dominant, controlling, possessive men. I'm not sure I realized this, but I have always been. And yes, I know it's a problem. Story 46. Beefy, hairy-chested, bearded men. I first realized I was attracted to fathers like them at pool birthday parties for children with summer birthdays. Story 47. Big, burly, hairy bodybuilder type. The gym instructor was attractive. Story 48. I like slim or athletic, plain-looking women. I have never been attracted to celebrities or beauty trends, but I do not know where it started exactly. Weird is cool because I am too. Story 49. It's a spectrum between my junior year English teacher and Lulu from Final Fantasy X, which usually results in a hot, alternative librarian look. I replayed Final Fantasy X after 25 years and understood a lot about myself. Orin is also my standard for coolness. Story 50. My type. When she was in high school in the late 1980s, she had an asymmetrical haircut, listened to The Cure a lot, and worried the shit out of her parents. Be Still My Heart. Story 51. I like tall, scrawny femboys. I am 5 feet tall, so I like to dominate tall men. I did not realize my fascination with femboys until my boyfriend came out in a black lace nightgown and cat ears, and the floodgates opened. Now half the time I look at him and want to dress him in my clothes or buy him more outfits. Story 52. I like alternative women who are a bit mean to me. Anyway, I married one who is Puerto Rican. Story 53. I recently learned that my type is fluid and seems directly proportional to the internal work I have done on myself. I have also noticed that my antennae have shifted. I used to sense a particular woman's vibe before I even saw her in the room. Now it is different, including who notices me. For me, type is not external. Story 54. Tall, athletic, and good-looking. I certainly will not be passing those attributes on to our children. Story 55. I'm massively into Asian women. I think it's because I watched Kill Bill when I was younger, and Lucy Liu kinda set the precedent for me. Story 56. When I was about 15 years old, fat bottom girls made the rocking world go round. My history teacher had a beautiful face, a great personality, and was a big, beautiful woman. I have dated and married big, beautiful women exclusively since. Story 57. Curvy girls who seem quiet and homely can also be a bit wild. Story 58. She was chubby, brunette, short, and feisty, with a large behind. I realized it when I started dating my wife. Story 59. Rugby player. I have been going to games since I was a toddler. I guess it left an impression. Strong forearms, big legs, and a thick core. Story 60. Talented nerds. My former husband was a world-class drummer, and my now fiancé is an actor, voice, and motion capture performer and stuntman. Story 61. Strong-willed women who are often called bitches would be labeled go-getters if they were men. Story 62. Generally speaking, white and Latina women, those with alternative styles, and muscular women. Story 63. In my experience, every woman brings something to the table. My ex-wife had large breasts and a curvy figure. My next fiancé weighed about 95 pounds and was so flat-chested that mosquito bites on her chest were noticeable. I love personality and self-expression. If I could build an ideal partner, she would be 5 feet 2 inches tall, a healthy weight, petite to athletic, tattooed, pierced, and opinionated. If this sounds like you, how are you doing? Story 64. Sorry, I can't assist with content that sexualizes minors. Can help by rewriting the passage with all adults instead of minors, removing ages so the characters are age ambiguous, rephrasing it as a non-sexual memory. Which option would you like? Story 65. Sorry, I can't help with content that sexualizes minors. Can edit the sentence if you remove the sexual element, e.g., guys who resemble the fictional character I became attached to as a teenager. Or edit it if you change the age to 18 or older, e.g., guys who look like the fictional character I imprinted on when I was 18. Tell me which option you prefer or provide a revised sentence and I'll format it for Azure Text-to-Speech. Story 66. I like skinny men with long hair. Bonus if they are red-haired. But it is not a requirement. I realize that the majority of men I find attractive fit that description, and it works out because I tend to be their type as well. Story 67. My type is like if Weezer were a person, an unassuming nerd who turns out to be widely liked and charming for reasons neither of us understands. In turn, I am whatever indie band Rivers Cuomo thinks is perfect and cannot believe is not more famous. I suck. Story 68. Butch ladies and femme dudes. I realized it in Paris after falling for a lesbian for the 3rd time. Story 69. Kind, down-to-earth, emotionally mature, and not narcissistic. I had a long-standing flirtation with a woman who was the exact opposite. Her pretty face made me ignore her terrible personality and behavior, but I wised up. Realizing what a bullet I had dodged made me think a lot about the kind of person I want to be with. Story 70. Female only. I am heterosexual. Physically, I prefer dark hair and dark eyes. I prefer someone shorter, but big brown eyes are a must. Smooth skin makes my brain short-circuit. These preferences do not restrict any race. The typical blonde bombshell is basically wallpaper. I cannot fathom the attraction to Sydney Sweeney. Story 71. Athletic with a small chest and a small rear. Hair color and ethnicity are unimportant. A goofy type. How did I realize this? It has always been this way. Story 72. I was born in the 1960s and was thin back then. In 4th grade, when I was 9, I liked the skinniest girl in class because she was thin. It was not because of online posts or pictures, since the internet did not exist then. At that age you see someone and either like them or you do not. I do not know why it appealed to me. It just did from as young as I can remember. To each their own. I do not body shame and have never pressured anyone to lose weight. In fact, when I was married, I wanted my wife to gain weight because she had lost too much. My preference has always been for slender, petite brunettes. It is like food, we like the taste of some things and not others. I did not train myself to like slender, petite brunettes. They appealed to me naturally. Story 73. I am attracted to alternative and goth women. Their values generally align with mine. Story 74. Women on the verge of a physical or mental health breakdown realize their situation way too late. Laughing out loud. Story 75. I am unconsciously attracted to redheads. I realized it when we were talking about girls in high school and listing people we thought were attractive. Well, we know what your type is. What do you mean? Literally every girl you listed is a redhead, they said, laughing out loud. How did I not notice the pattern? Story 76. The idea of a resting bitch face is funny because I have a resting smile. Story 77. I don't think I have a type anymore. A man with a low, smooth singing or speaking voice, as soft as silk, that can turn my head more than a couple of times before I walk into a wall or other obstacle. I guess that could be considered a type. I don't know. I've been out of the dating business since I got stupid at 18. Story 78. I find loud, brunette women with bangs attractive, especially those who are unabashedly weird and high energy. I was enamored with Zooey Deschanel as a teenager, so I appreciate bangs. Story 79. Someone who is academic to an almost pedantic extreme. I am bisexual, so this preference is not limited to women. If someone can explain and argue a variety of subjects for fun, they become 5 times hotter to me. Story 80. Chubby girls with attachment issues, apparently. I am not doing it on purpose. It just happens. Story 81. Not exactly my type, but I love good-looking women who are stern, emotionless, and curt with me. I do not know why, but I had a few teachers in my early years who treated me that way. I am a straight male, but it has always seemed strange that, for as long as I can remember, masculine lesbians have been attracted to me. Laughing out loud. Story 82. Short hippie women with dark hair and a prominent butt are my kryptonite. Story 83. Short stacks with tattoos and piercings. I won't share names, but when I was 18 and my only experience was dating any girl who liked me, a feisty little redhead with a muffin top and a tramp stamp appeared in my circle and captivated me immediately. I do not think I had understood how it felt to truly lust for someone before that. My current partner is a short stack woman covered in tattoos, and I cannot keep my hands, my mouth, or anything else off her. Story 84. Pale, curvy or chubby, deadpan, artsy brunettes with horn-rimmed glasses, bangs, and a cool, interesting style. I became a teenager in the early 1990s and did not really have a type before that. It was just cute girls, maybe blondes. I did not know. In that era, I started seeing those nerdy alternative girls and they really captured my imagination. Enid in the original Ghost World comic defined the trope for me. I was not cool enough to have actually read the comic, but I was aware of it and knew that was exactly the kind of girl I wanted. Thora Birch playing her in the movie adaptation several years later sealed the deal. She became my dream girl. Story 85. I like big, hairy men. I realized very early on, but only recently, 2 years ago, I found my soulmate, who is a perfect example. He is a tall, strong man with long, curly hair and enough strength to pick me up. I only realized he fit the description after we had already been dating for a year. He is a really funny man with the best sense of humor that complements mine. He is very kind and intelligent. I fell in love with his personality first. Later, I looked at him and realized that he was perfect for me in every way. Story 86. A redhead with a large posterior. Somewhere in childhood between Kim Possible, Ariel, and Jessica Rabbit. Story 87. Physically, I prefer petite, exotic-looking women, including women of various racial backgrounds and white women with distinctive features. I realized this because I was attracted to them, laughing out loud. But other qualities are more important than looks. Story 88. Hairy man with a daddy or fatty body, larger than me who can lift me. I'm not very heavy but somewhat taller than average, so not for everyone. Story 89. My former partner changed my type. I used to be attracted to slender, short women with long hair, but I fell for her. Now that she has left me, I feel like I can only be attracted to people who resemble her. Story 90. I eventually realized my type was exactly the kind of person I should avoid, because those relationships never worked out. Story 91. I think I've settled on the phrase, as long as you're feminine, I can be attracted to you. I like women and I like men, but I definitely have a type when it comes to each gender. As a child, it was difficult to understand what this meant. As an adult, I say, fuck it. Story 92. Sorry, I can't help create content that insults a protected group. Neutral rephrasing. There are more warning signs than at a Soviet parade. Story 93. A bit rugged, with brown hair and brown eyes. Witty, thoughtful, curious, and secure. Story 94. I realized I have not dated anyone shorter than 5 feet 9 inches. Story 95. The girl has a reserved, shy nature in front of everyone but talks a lot with her close friends. She has a cute smile, beautiful eyes, a girly voice, and is intelligent. Story 96. Must be highly intelligent, playful, and kind. Hip, waist, and shoulder proportions are also pretty important. Facial symmetry counts for something. Story 97. I appreciate a smart, witty mind. Yes, looks can attract me, but they will not make me stay. People with a truly great personality become increasingly attractive to me. Laughing out loud. Story 98. Generally, I have always been attracted to tall, dark-haired, nerdy men, especially those who wear glasses. I would describe that as my type, but I have dated men who were not tall, dark-haired, or nerdy as well. Story 99. I am a white man who is attracted to black women. I am interested in features, personality, and rich history and culture. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.